Hello painters, welcome to our 4th episode in the Painting the Monster Manual A to Z series. On this one we're going to be doing a Planetar. So for this miniature, it's actually a Reaper Bones Deva miniature, but this one looked more like a Planetar than anything else I could find. So starting with our zenithal priming, we're going to start off with some Vallejo metal color Magnesium and paint the wings. You can just brush this right on, has great coverage, and pretty much one coat coverage, and there's no need to thin it. You can see I'm using a pretty large brush to do this. Just bend it back with your finger and get the harder to reach places. Same thing on the back side. Alright, next up we've got some P3 Gnarls green. And we're painting all of the flesh with this color. This is the base coat. Don't forget the little spot on the stomach. And next up, we've got some Scale 75 Brain Eater Azure. And we will paint the outer part of the dress with this. There's kind of a fold of cloth that goes down the center that we're going to do in an ivory color. But you could paint that this color too if you want to make it simpler. And this will probably take 2 coats. And next up, to highlight, we're going to use Scale 75 Lendanis Gray. So I'm just picking out the higher raised edges on all of the folds of the cloth, and leaving the previous color in the recesses. Next up, we've got some Army Painter Purple Tone Wash. And I'm just using that. I'm not washing the whole thing. I'm just going into the recesses and darkening them up a little. You can do multiple coats of this if you'd like. Just depends how dark you want to get it. Next up, we've got Secret Weapon Verdigris Pale Green, and that will be our first highlight for the skin. In the forehead, the cheekbones, the nose, chin, top of the breasts, shoulders, tops of the arms and hands, a little bit on the stomach, back of the head and shoulders. Now it's doing a second pass in the same areas to brighten them up a little more. Next we've got Vallejo model color Ivory, painting the front part of that cloth that drapes over. Now I've got some scale 75 Inktense blue, and this is completely optional, but I'm just doing some freehand designs, just kind of making it up as I go. You might want to practice on a piece of paper and just get a kind of an idea of what you want to do. This was actually my second attempt. The first one I didn't care for, so I just painted over it with the ivory and redid this. So as long as you're keeping your paint thin, you can paint over anything you mess up. Next up we've got Vallejo metal color Duraluminum. And we're going to dry brush some of that to highlight the wings. Now I've got some Citadel Coelia Greenshade wash, and we're using that on all the skin. It's kind of a blue-green wash. Then we've got some P3, or I should say, I had painted the sword blade with Vallejo model color dark Prussian blue, and I lost the footage of that. So now I'm using some P3 Meredius blue, and using the airbrush to paint from the tip almost all the way to the back, but still leaving some of that dark blue showing. Using a piece of paper to keep it from getting on the wings. Now we've got P3 Arcane blue, and we go about halfway with it, not covering up all of the Meredius blue. And then some P3 Morrow white just on the tip. Right, actually, I've mixed that with the Arcane blue. So a little bit farther down, and then straight P3 Morrow white for just the very tip. It gives us a nice magical sword blade effect. Usually takes at least 2 coats with the white. Alright, back to our Secret Weapon Verdigris Pale Green. And now we're just highlighting the skin that we did before after the wash. Next up, we've got some Agrax Earthshade gloss. And I've just realized I put the videos out of order, so all of the armor I did with the copper fixtures from Secret Weapon. And then I believe I did the Army Painter Greedy Gold and then this wash. So, out of order, I believe. Yeah, and then after the wash, dry brush again, the Greedy Gold over the top. Now we're going back to our Vallejo metal color Magnesium and just painting some of the details on the shield in silver so that it stands out a little bit. It's not as boring. Then onto the base, I'm going to paint the broken pillar with the same ivory we used on the loincloth. Probably takes 2 coats for this. Trying not to get it on the floor. And then we've got some Agrax Earthshade, and we just wash the entire part of the pillar. And then since we did the zenith priming on the base also, using the Coelia Greenshade again, and just washing that right over the primer. It kind of ties it all together. So here's our finished miniature. Pretty happy with the way this one turned out. If you would like to see more, make sure and hit the like button, subscribe. Check out my channel on Twitch and Patreon. The links are in the description below. Thanks, and see you next time.